So this is the self-development with tactics book. So today we're gonna talk about some Stoicism things and or some posts on the Stoicism subreddit. And I do think that we're also gonna go through something else. I don't believe that it is gonna be the only thing that we are gonna talk about. But well, let's see. Found this in PewDiePie's video. And I think that I've also seen this video, but I don't know what it is all about. Now, I've just obviously forgotten about it. Because my mind is like really fucked sometimes. It really depends on what it is all about. If it is some things that I shouldn't forget, I'm most often forgetting about them. If it is about some shit that I should forget, then it is quite the opposite. But anyway, memento mori, and to not let it not frighten you, but remind you to live life with virtue. Memento mori, by practicing Stoicism, there is no pain and suffering in this world that you can't endure. Memento mori, nothing can be taken from you, for a Stoic only values virtue. Memento mori, any suffering and pain will be an opportunity for you to display and practice your virtue. And the next one, memento mori, by living life to the fullest, you're also ready to let go at any moment, to not meet death with fear or anger, but rather welcoming, because some things you just can't control. And the last one is memento mori, remember death. And yes, I do think it is a great reminder to not forget about death, because it is there, it's just, we can't neglect that. We can't not see that quite, that there is going to be death. No matter what, there is going to be death. But yeah, we shouldn't also be overwhelmed by it. We shouldn't also be, mad about that or angry about that death is gonna come. It is just gonna come. And I totally also believe that living a life to the fullest, which doesn't necessarily mean, and it is always like a dangerous thing to say, at least in my point of view, and I've been talking about it just really, really often. It doesn't mean, okay, let's drink just every single night. Let's just eat whatever the fuck you want to eat. Let's just whatever, this is not what it means, at least at my point of view, because there's obviously downsides to that. Of course, there's upsides, but there's downsides to that as well. But I think that you should be living your life in the sense of memento mori, that you, that you just see things as they are, that you're not making them worse as they are. You can, I think, make them better. Making them better is just not that of a bad thing, but making things worse, no, don't do that. And we often do that. We often suffer more in imagination than in reality, just because we think that things are worse than they really are, or we are making them worse by thinking about them in a very certain way. And no, just let's not do that. It is quite unnecessary, and it's just making life way, way, way more difficult. But on the other hand, as I said, it just really does not mean, at least for me, to live your life to the fullest in the most common sense of, okay, let's do everything that I want to do. Which might also then include not being the most virtuous person. But as I said, I think it is more about seeing things as they are and enjoying every single moment, as it is, and actually not wishing for it to be different, which is also a very Stoic thing. But yeah. In the future, please remember our Rule 6. Thank you. Nice, but if they'd only spelled it correctly. Yeah. Memento mori. It's actually momento. It's what? Memento. It's memento and momento. Memento mori. Yeah. What did I think this was? Day by daylight for a hot second. I don't know what the subreddit is all about. I don't know what the day to daylight subreddit is about, but I hope it's not something fucked up. Is best viewed using old legacy Reddit. Enable it in your preferences. No? This means he's more movie. Well, I'm not gonna go through that shit. I kind of have a very bad feeling about this. He has amazing videos about philosophy on his channel, not a ton of them, and they don't get a ton of views, yes, but I enjoyed them a lot. He's super into Stoicism, I believe, and has done a few book reviews. I think so as well, but I do wonder what Rule 6 is. Maybe it's like, don't steal things off of somebody's videos. Could be the case, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. And actually very understandable. The way the OP deals with the lockdown and his personal life situation is highly stoic. r/Berlin, very interesting, that this is a thing. Taking care of your mental health during a second lockdown. So my life has been a bit much lately, between changing careers, moving to Berlin right before the pandemic, not knowing anyone here, and my wife's cancer returning just in time for the second wave. There haven't been many opportunities to live a good life. But the experience has taught me how to cope with chronic stress, and that's what I wanted to share with you. If you're wondering how stressed or depressed I am right now, the answer is not at all. I'm calm and optimistic, even though I know that what lies ahead is no cakewalk. Mind you, I'm no psychiatrist. If you feel like you're losing it, seek out professional help. Acute or chronic, but never both. Many kinds of pain, including psychological pain, can be either acute or chronic, but neither or never both. Some might argue that their pain or stress is both acute and chronic, but the fact that it's chronic and they're alive means they could bear much worse and still live. Paradoxically, most stress comes from struggling against it, trying to ignore it, finding distractions, and braving it out. When you struggle against stress and wish it weren't a part of your life, you're just making it worse. Stress is a natural part of human nature, and it is supposed to help you cope with hardship. It also tells you that things are not right and to pay attention. When you ignore it, you start feeling bad because you feel bad. Feeling bad is okay. Let yourself feel bad. If you can, talk with other people, let them know things are not okay. Talk about your fears and let them talk about theirs. It will bring you closer together. Which definitely is the case, by the way. I do heavily believe in letting the other person talk as well. And giving other people the opportunity to talk about things that might be bothering them and talking about things that might be on their mind. Just because I can. Just because I can, and just because I can't give them the opportunity to do so. So why shouldn't I? Stress turns into depression only when you pretend things are fine. No one has ever become depressed from experiencing strong emotions. People usually become depressed because they suppressed their feelings for too long. Decatastrophizing. When you're afraid of something, losing a job, being unable to pay rent, getting sick and landing in a hospital, or losing a loved one, it is too easy to become obsessed about the thing you fear. People tend to become stuck in that imaginary moment of peak emotions, like the moment they get fired, and that becomes the event horizon of their fear. They never look past it. In reality, the event itself is never as bad as the fear leading up to it. Moreover, life always moves on. If you're stressed about something, ask yourself this: and then what? Say you're fired. And then what? What happens immediately afterward? Do you stop doing laundry? Do you stop eating? Of course not. You call your friends, complain for a while, go to Rewe, get some groceries for tomorrow, which is a supermarket in, I think, Austria as well, but I do think Austria as well, Germany, maybe even Switzerland, I don't know. You check your bank balance and see how long you can last. You go online and check job boards. It's late. You go to bed and rest. The next day you wake up. You still need to eat breakfast, and so on and so on and so on. You can take the edge of the worst of your fears if you focus on what comes after and try to describe it in a mundane, objective way. Very important, mundane, objective way. You can't control your first reaction, but you can control the second. Mask-wearing arguments aside, you have no control over the pandemic. The event is external, it's objective. Same as the turmoil it causes around the world, or what it does to the economy. You have as much what you have as much say in current global events as you do in the way the wind is blowing. You can't control it. You don't have anything to say. Similarly, you can't control your emotional response, anger, stress, short-term panic, desire to escape. Everyone reacts differently, but when shit happens, everyone experiences a visceral, instinctive response to the event. It's built into you and you have no say in it. What people tend to do in stressful situations is that they fixate on things they can't control and completely ignore the ones they can. Like, for example, what they do after. If something happens and it stresses you out, that's it. You're stressed. No point fighting it or trying to make your reaction something else. You can, however, notice how you feel, acknowledge it, and do something to change it. Like going for a walk, for example, or meditating, calling a friend, exercising, or whatever it is you do to relax. There, I hope this isn't too weird and that it helps. And yes, it really does help, I think. Thanks for posting this. Yes, I would definitely also say so. It's amazing. It really is. It really is an amazing thing. I'm happy about that. I really am. And I think it is a great, is it manuscript, a great text, or whatever you want to call it? A great guideline maybe as well. Yeah, period. It's amazing. How similar is Stoicism to mindfulness? Well, I've got mad with my girlfriend and I'm still mad at her. What is the Stoic approach for this? Well, let's see. Long story short, my GF bought an expensive swimming suit for absolute no reason at all. She already had one beautiful swimming suit and the money could help us pay some bills or the rent. I've got angry and talked loudly at her. Not yet. In brackets, not yet. She made a point. She bought the swimming suit because she had spare money to have it. After that, I didn't talk with her all night. I've gone for a walk to reflect, and in the morning next day, I've asked her to apologize me for my behavior as I didn't treat her well. But I'm still mad because everything I buy, she throws in my face saying that we could use the money to do something else. I want to stop bitching about this and move forward, but I can't. PS1, always when try to walk with her, she interrupts me and says that I'm wrong. I don't know if I'm right now, but mostly I say sorry to her. I don't want to be right, I just want to move forward and be better, and be a better me. And the second PS, sorry if my English is not great. Why does everybody apologize? It is fine if your English isn't great. The Stoic approach is you can't control people's actions, you can only influence them. What you can control is your actions. I'm not telling you to do that, but I think a Stoic approach to your situation would be to take action and quit her even if it's hard. It looks like she wants to manipulate you and control you. Be careful. Thank you very much. I've talked to her again and she gave me some arguments. Some of them I've agreed and said sorry. Now I'm reflecting to our entire relationship, which I think is a good idea. In terms of relationships, I do want to say and do have to say that sometimes, we are making decisions based on moments, In one moment you feel like, wow, it's the most amazing relationship I've ever been in. And in the next moment, eventually, you feel like, well, this is actually a pretty fucked up relationship. I don't really like it. But in the end, it is very dumb to make decisions in a moment when you're feeling bad. But it is also dumb to some degree when you're making decisions in a moment where you're extremely happy. So decisions are best made when being in a position or in a moment or just emotional state of being quite neutral. Are we ever quite neutral? It's hard to say and it is difficult to say. And so I do think when it is all about relationships, when it is all about things that have been part of your life for quite some time, unless it is some shit that obviously is hurting you, like, taking drugs and whatever it might be, a bad diet, a very stationary life, and so on and so on and so on, then change that. But yeah, I'm speaking out of experience. Sometimes we are making decisions based on some rather stupid thoughts, but in the end, there is reasons why we're having them. There's reasons why this person feels like reflecting about the entire relationship, because there are things that are going on. There is some behavior of the other person, of oneself, that might not be amazing, and there's a lot of trouble, and there's a lot of bitching around and whatnot. So this is always also something to keep in mind after you've made a decision. Maybe the decision of, okay, let's separate, and then you feel like, wow, the relationship has been pretty amazing, because we tend to not see the bad sides. But if we remind ourselves of the bad sides, like, okay, there was this argument and that argument and this whatnot and that whatnot, then, possibilities are quite high that we're feeling quite okay with the decision that we made, and feel like, wow, there has always been a reason for why I did that. So please keep that in mind, just because I don't and didn't do. Book recommendations, Amor Fati and dating. Very interesting thoughts today. Let's see. Amor Fati meaning love, faith. Dating can sometimes feel like a waste of time when things don't pan out to the next phase. When things do not pan out to the next phase, so relationship or marriage. However, from a recent experience, I'm starting to appreciate the misses as much as the wins, thanks in part to some Stoic thinking. I wanted to share in case it would encourage other young men. Recently, I had been going on several dates with someone who I truly enjoyed being around. However, after the 8th date, a big number for me since I rarely want to go on a second, we both figured that taking the next step, into a relationship wasn't wise. Our senses of humor didn't match. In brackets, just a side note quite. At the tail end of our last phone convo, something she said struck me. Even though this didn't work out, I know something good will come of this. I agreed with her and explained the concept of amor fati, to love fate, or faith, whatever. That whatever happens because fuel for the fire of your life. I love this concept, especially because it ties into a biblical verse. I'm Christian. We know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. The core concept has given me plenty of peace the past few days, and I hope it can for you too. Nothing is a waste of time if you don't let it be. It's quite the case. It is a very, very, very difficult to use concept, though. It really involves a lot of practicing, I would say, and thinking and reflecting and whatnot, because yes, love your faith, love every single second, no matter how bad it is. Just do that. Yeah, great advice. Thanks, motherfucker. It is very difficult. It's very difficult to see the bad or the good, or to see a reason why you shouldn't be hating this bad moment that you are in, and a reason for why you should actually wish for it not to be different, which is also included into amor fati. Just not wishing for it to be different, but really accepting and loving your faith or fate, as it is. It is difficult, and but if you really think about it, it is amazing. If you really, really do truly think about it, it is an amazing concept, because if you really truly think that whatever position you are in is amazing and you just don't want it to be different, guess what? You're never ever gonna be unhappy. You're never ever gonna be in a sad position. You're never gonna have sad emotions. Nothing. Just because you love every moment, no matter what it is. It's difficult. It's also difficult for me to explain, but yeah. Nothing is a waste of time if you don't let it be. That's a great piece of wisdom right there. I would say so as well. It really struck me. Me trying to argue that the quote isn't a piece of wisdom would be a waste of time, or would it? Only if you let it be one. Fuck, man. If we are actively present in our day-to-day life, as opposed to dwelling in fantasy futures and or necrotic nostalgia, or every experience adds our every experience adds to the complex tapestry of our existence. Your objective assessment and unemotionalized evaluation of a progressing relationship is inspiring. Deceiving ourselves about the long-term viability of a relationship or career prospect, etc., poisons our future. When we live in denial about what is going on around us, our present becomes hollow and fake. The present is the only place in which we are able exhibit and improve our wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. Our culture feeds us a steady stream of fantasy delusion about how our lives should play out. The perfect romance is effortless. If it isn't love at first sight, it is not real. All it is a load of toxic propaganda. Satisfying life requires effort and attention. Risk is an inherent aspect of life. Stoicism encourages us to remain unperturbed if life ever happens to unfold contrary to the cultural narrative. Our relationships did not unfold like a Disney story. It was not going to. You exhibited good judgment, wisdom, and not trying to hang on to something that was never going to be good. You showed justice by not saying her sense of humor was lacking. You showed courage in sharing and temperance by not sharing too much. Congratulations and thanks. I would also say so. It's an amazing text, it's an amazing story, and this person really dealt well with the whole situation, I would say. I've been in a situation where I have not found joy in dating for the past 4 years, since the passing of my fiance. As I have really just started in Stoicism, I have not come across this amor fati yet, and I think I'll have to look at it differently now. Hey, we're not all men on this sub, but I agree, this is a perfect example of amor fati, yeah. Something that I do also really often want and have to point out. I try to focus on experience rather than my preferred outcome. No matter how a date or anything else goes, there is something I'll learn and will take with me for the rest of my life. That's pretty awesome, if you think about it. Yes, you don't need to care in a hopeless way. Christianity is quite like Stoicism, except the compassion part. Have compassion for yourself and others. Just grow, don't growth. It's healthy and wise. Thanks for the peaceful advice. It's rhyming. Cloud Atlas is all about amor fati. I do wonder what this is. And then there's going to be the empty story and the video. It's actually fairly... Cloud Atlas. It's a movie, apparently. It's an epic science fiction film written and directed by the Wachowskis and Tom Tykwer. And it is 2 hours and 52 minutes long. Rating is not that amazing, but box office $130.5 million US. Awards: German Film Award for Best Production, and so on. Cloud Atlas. It's a 2012 movie. I've never heard of it actually. Featuring Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugo Weaving, and Jim Sturgis. Or Sturgis, whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to read the critique because I've actually also said that it wasn't rated that amazing. I've always having a problem with just seeing what a movie turned out to be in terms of, okay, if it is a good according to other people or some quote-unquote objective writers and journalists and whatnot, but it's never a good idea. You know, we are getting really a predisposition, which is not amazing. Anyway, I think that I'm going to end the episode there, so I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking amazing thing. 3 other questions that I have for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even business idea, which is fucking nice. The last thing, what could you essentially say to another person that is indeed going to change their life? Because I totally believe that we all can say something that we all can communicate something that is indeed going to change their life. And yeah, with that being said, please take care of yourself, your family members, all your loved ones, and your friends. And with that being said, bye-bye.